Hi class, congrats on getting your first parts of your codes to work for your blink and for your breadboard. Now for the button, hopefully you figure out following the steps to set up your board so that when you push the button, the light turns on. When you turn your finger off the button, the light turns off. Remember that this is the code that makes that run. And when you're typing this out, remember the colors matter and the capital letters matter. Also note that at the end of every line there's a semicolon, except for the lines that have the setup and the loop, the if and else. So if you see something that's green, remember those do not need a semicolon. Another thing you do not need to type are all the comments. I have the comments there only because I want you to know what's going on in the code. So these are what's called forward slashes. You don't need to type anything that's on this side of the page. To make this code work, you only need this. Let's talk about what's going on here. These first two lines are me declaring that the pin I'm going to plug in the LED to is connected to 11, and the pin I'm going to hook the button to is hooked up to pin 2. This value is just going to be a 1 or 0. Is the button going to be pressed or is it not going to be pressed? With 0 representing no and 1 representing yes. So let's look at the LED pin being in 11 and the button pin being in 2. So I look at my LED, I plug it in so that the positive side of the LED is in 11, just like my LED pin variable was put to 11. And I look at my button. The button always goes between this little valley gap here. I follow my line and I go all the way over and it's plugged into board number 2. So that's what those two numbers represent. And again, the 0 and the 1, not pressed is off 0, pressed is on 1. So for your setup, there's two things we're doing. We're making the LED be an output. Is the board telling it to be on or is the board telling it to be off? The button, though, is what's called an input. I'm doing something to it to make something else happen. It reads values from this, and it gives values on or off to the LED. So what's going on here? This loop, this is the part that runs forever, all the way from here to here. The value is the button pressed or not? It's going to read what the button is doing. So what's going on is it's reading, let's go back to what button pin was, it's reading the value for number 2. Remember, I follow number 2, it goes to the button, so the digital read is reading the value of the button. Is it off or pressed on? If this value, aka if the button is high or pressed, then it will tell or write the LED to have a high voltage or on. So if the button is pressed, it will write or tell the LED to turn on. Else means otherwise. So if it's pressed, turn on. Else, tell the LED to be off. Common mistakes for wiring this that happens. So note, I press the LED, it's on. I take the LED off, button off, it's off. Remember that the longer side is the positive side, the shorter side is negative. If this is backwards, it won't work. If that's one of the things that's happening, make sure to flip your LED and see if flipping your LED makes it work.